Hey there, this is Lady Jammers, and this month's state is my own state of Pennsylvania. It was ratified by the Constitution in December 12th, 1787. Now, Pennsylvania's story goes over 100 years before that. On April 2nd, 1681, William Penn was given a grant of land from the counties of Pennsylvania and Delaware from King Charles II of England. This was to offset debts he owed his father, also called William. On October 27th, 1682, William Penn arrived to stake his claim. The story I learned in school was that he wanted to name the land Sylvania, which means woods. His crew told him to name it after himself. And so Pennsylvania is basically Penn's Woods. Now, since then, there's a little bit of give and take on that. But a lot of what I'm going to tell you is what I learned in school. When I was a little girl, I looked over the names of the states and complained to my teacher, said, why do we have to have such a long name for our state? Look, even New Jersey is easy to spell. And of course, being the 1970s, I got a little scolding. So I went into the corner of the room by the one of the blackbirds, and I decided that I was going to split the name in a couple of different pieces so that would make it easier to learn how to spell. So basically, I separated it into Pennsylvania. And in my mind, Pennsylvania, because, the PENN was easy to remember. Pencil, but pencil not spelled CIL, SYL, and then vein, which was actually van, and IA, because I didn't have anything for IA. And I was told I made it too complicated. And I said to her, but I got it. Same thing happened with when we had to do a picture of our state flag. Both Pennsylvania's and New Jersey's are similar in design, and we had to get the little shield right. And if we messed up on the shield, we got points deducted. But while, Texas, for instance, has a very easy state to print. I'm sure no Texas kids were docked points for messing up their state flag. Now, back to the story. William Penn made peace with the Lenape Indians, and soon parts of his land he gave to the other settlers and important people of the area. One such person was friends with my parents and with me. This person was the person they gave New Hope and the surrounding, where I'm from, by the way, and the surrounding areas was Robert Heath. In fact, Robert is a name that is still prominent in the Heath family. My parents' friend was Bob Heath, He owned the a gas station in Lambertville, which is a sister city to New Hope. And my parents taught his son and his sister and his brothers at the high school. And now his the gas station is still running and still family owned. Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania, like other states, it's like having two states in one. There's Philadelphia and there's Pittsburgh. And it's like night and day between the rivalry of the two states. However, Pittsburgh, at the time of William Penn and even our founding fathers, was not part of the state of Pennsylvania yet. In 1785, it was became part of Pennsylvania. It was originally named Fort Duquesne by the French, and then the British captured it and named it Fort Pitt after the British Prime Minister William Pitt, who, if you know about British history the way I do, it's a really big thing. He was a very important Prime Minister. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit of the rivalry of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia in the montage at the end of the video. Now, I will tell you, I am not doing a lot of really important history about Pennsylvania, because if I did, it would be a while, and I want to make these videos kind of short and sweet and just skim the information. So I will tell you a little bit about this, that, and not the other thing, if you want to know the truth. They have Pennsylvania, like most of the U.S., is a melting pot of settlers. Most of them came for religious, political, or economic freedom. A lot of times, two or all of them at the same time. The Quakers, which William Penn came from, because William Penn was a Quaker, came for religious freedom, as did the Amish and the Mennonites. The Pennsylvania Dutch community is part of the Amish and the Mennonites. They came from Germany before Germany was annexed as Germany. In fact, my grandmother and my grandfather from my dad's side are from parts of Germany. The Florys, for instance, came from Bavaria. And the Amish actually came from Bavaria and the southern regions. Why are they called Dutch? Because Dutch is actually a kind of corruption, I think you call it, of the word Deutsch, which is German. Now, you know, there was, they call themselves the Germanic people, but they weren't Germany at that time. Confusing, isn't it? Now, they weren't just German settlers that came to Pennsylvania. There was the Polish, Italians, in Ireland, England, and more. And because of that, people that live in Pennsylvania, like get to experience all the real, like, Italian food, the real Polish food that was carried down through the generations. And let me tell you, that is cool. I have done some traveling with my my run group, the Horatians. I'm not with anymore, and I've talked to about with them. But it's interesting when you go to a different, like, part of the United States or Canada or England, you notice how different the food is. Now, like I said, since Pennsylvania is my home state, I did some research, but not a lot because I didn't really have to do a lot. I also want to say I can't forget about Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey, Pennsylvania is it's near the Amish country in Lancaster, the state capital in Harrisburg, and that's in the middle of the state. Milton Hershey was an orphan, and he decided to make chocolate for the average person. And because of that, they named a town after him. Now, I'm going to do a separate video all about Hershey and Milton Hershey. So, as Forrest Gump says, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, another thing that's very interesting about Pennsylvania is it's full of history. And just to give a little tiny bit, I'm going to tell you about the history that went through my personal area of Bucks County. So, I grew up with seeing signs, Washington slept here, Washington slept there. And I believe most of the signs that said that were taken down because for my parents' generation and before, it had a double meaning, you know what I mean? So, about 15 or so minutes just down the Delaware River is the spot where Washington crossed the Delaware. And right here, this picture you always see right here, that actually I always call the view of the river from Washington's Crossing. Because, as I like to say, when I was younger, I've always been a history buff, but as I was younger, I used to actually go to the Washington Crossing Visitor Center, which is right where Washington actually crossed Delaware, and they had this little tree area and a place to sit a little bit down from where those the bushes right here. And I just would sit there and watch the river and people cross the Washington Crossings bridge and everything. And my dad got a hold of some of my pictures that I took. And two of the pictures I have on my wall, just to show you. This one, that one right there. I can't get my finger to go in the right, but that one right there is another picture that my dad took, pictures that I took. That's of Delaware Valley College in Pennsylvania. So, that is everything in a nutshell. And like I said, I didn't say that much, but if you want to know more, just Google Pennsylvania and you'll be amazed how many and everything that Pennsylvania has itself. So, I'm going to end this little tidbit with the little state capital, state flag, and all. The state capital is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and the state bird is the ruffed grouse. State flower is the mountain laurel. State motto is Fortune, Liberty, and Independence. And I hope you enjoyed this tour, you could say, of my state, Pennsylvania, and stay tuned for next month's state and all my videos. I hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful day, and keep those notification bell lit so you'll be notified on each and every video. See you later. Bye-bye.